If visiting India has ever crossed your mind, you should. And if it hasn't, I hope it has now. This is India. But this, and this, and this, and this is also India. India is incredibly diverse. It's basically like taking all the countries of the world and putting it into one country. We spent 2 months living in India, and in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know if you're planning to visit India. India is not a country where you just rock up and wing it, and I think that is why a lot of people actually have a negative experience. Planning and booking a few things in advance is going to make all the difference, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Out of the 30 countries we've traveled to, India is a country that made me grow the most. And we literally can't wait to go back and explore more of it because there is so much to explore. First off, some basic information on India. India is located in South Asia, bordered by Pakistan, China, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. It is the 7th largest country in the world and the 2nd most populated country with 1.4 billion people. India has 28 states. They use Indian Standard Time. It was under British rule. They are the largest producer of films in the world, Bollywood. They are the country with the 7th most nuclear weapons, the first country to land on the south pole of the moon, cows are sacred. India loves cricket, but hockey is actually the national sport. Visas. India is one of the easiest and cheapest countries to visit when it comes to visas. 161 countries are eligible for e-visas. Nationals of Bhutan and Nepal don't need visas, and nationals of South Korea and Japan can get visas on arrival, and UAE if you've had an India visa before. This only applies when entering from certain airports. Visas cost between $10 and $50 depending if it's a 30-day, a 1-year, or a 5-year visa. It is actually free for South Africans, even the 5-year visas, which is like unheard of. First off, how to apply. There is a lot of sites online that offers e-visas for India, but most of them charge exorbitant prices. There's just one official place to go to. I've linked it here on the screen and in the video description. When to apply. India has a lot of festivals during which government services are closed, so make sure you leave enough time for your visa to be processed. A lot of people have run into issues with this, especially during high season. We, however, received our visas within 2 days of applying. Places to visit. India is huge, and you'd probably have to go back a few times to explore it. Most people visit it in sections. North India is the most popular area, and it's the best introduction to India for your first visit. In North India, it's recommended to visit Delhi, which is the capital city. You'll most likely fly into Delhi. Personally, I would only stay 1 day in Delhi or just skip it altogether, but that is just my personal opinion, and you might have a completely different experience. Agra, this is where the Taj Mahal is. I've linked our video of exploring Agra. Jaipur, known for palaces and forts. I've also linked our video of exploring Jaipur. Ladakh, our favorite place in India in the Himalayas, or Himalayas as known in Indian. I've also linked the video here. Shimla and Manali, which has colonial architecture and looks like the Alps. And Varanasi, on the river and very spiritual. West India has Mumbai, which has a beautiful coastline and home of Bollywood. It felt so different to North India, and we can't wait to explore it more. Goa, famous for its beaches, Portuguese architecture and waterfalls. Udaipur, which is a city of lakes with stunning palaces. Southern India has Kerala, which is famous for the houseboats and tea plantations. Chennai, known for its beaches. And in eastern India, there's Kolkata, known for its colonial architecture. Darjeeling, on the foothills of the Himalayas, it is known for its sunrises and tea plantations. This is where the famous tea is from. Sikkim, known for its glacier lake and mountains. This is not even closely scratching the surface of places to see in India. There's also the amazing islands known as the Maldives of India. Physical safety. You can be unsafe in any country. It really depends on the area. During our 2 months in India, I only felt unsafe for 2 of those days, and that was in Delhi. I'm sure Delhi is amazing and other people have different experiences. That was just my personal experience. But for the rest of India, I always felt very safe. We always take extra precautions to be safe, and we are from South Africa, so we are a little street smart. India has a huge wealth gap, with some of the biggest slums, but also the richest people. A few safety topics of India, the different regions. East and Northeast India is generally less safe. As mentioned before, India is not a country where I recommend you just wing it, so check the places you plan to visit ahead of time. I can only speak about safety of the specific places we visited, but if you're local in India, please put your opinion in the comments. Ladakh, we felt incredibly safe, one of the safest places to travel in the world. Rajasthan, we were in Jaipur and Ranthambore, we felt very safe. We were at a train station after dark without any concerns. Agra, never felt unsafe, but it's not a place I'd wander around on my own. Delhi didn't feel that safe. But big capital cities aren't generally the safest. Being a female, I never felt unsafe in India as a female. That being said, I was never alone. I was always with my now husband, then fiance. So I guess that made me less of a target. He, however, was always wary, so I think he had more of a stressful time than me. Traveling solo. If you're working with a tour guide, a local, or a group of people, you are just way less of a target. In Jaipur and Agra, we hired guides to show us around, which made it a lot more comfortable, and that is also probably why we had such a great and safe experience. In Ladakh, we went motorbiking, where we also went on an organized tour and had the best time. Being a foreigner. If you're a foreigner, people in India will likely stare at you because you look different. It's not to make you feel unsafe, uncomfortable. You're likely in no danger. Take it as a compliment. Indians love foreigners and tourists finding out more about your country and sharing with you more of their country. It is really wonderful to be so accepted into a foreign country, because there's a lot of other countries where being a foreigner feels like you are just a nuisance to the locals. If you're a foreigner, people will love taking photos with you, and we experience people to be really respectful. If we ever said no, if we didn't make eye contact, it was never a problem. Remember, you are visiting their country, so be kind and respectful. Take a few minutes to take a few photos. It's not going to affect you negatively, and it's going to make somebody happy for a few seconds. The locals. We found 99.9% of the locals incredibly friendly and inviting. It felt like we made friends everywhere we went in India. We met people on a bus and they waited with us until our Uber came. The people that hosted us with Airbnb invited us to dinner with them and on walks. In Ladakh, someone invited us to come into their house. I can't speak highly enough of the hospitality and kindness and openness, scams and hustles. Everybody in India is a businessman or a businesswoman. Be careful of scams. Don't just trust anybody on the street offering you accommodation or a tour or transport. Terrorism. India's military is insane. If you have the opportunity to go up to Ladakh, you will drive through so many military bases. It is insane. The airports are super secure and safe. The strictest airports we've been to, we had to unpack every single thing in our hand luggage, every single cable and charger and plug, which at the time can be a bit frustrating and time consuming, but it's nice to know that they take security in the country very seriously. The food. 20 to 40% of Indians are vegetarian. Some Indians don't eat anything that grows under the ground. Some eat no meat, some eat chicken and eggs, some eat everything. It really depends on the person. One thing, however, that is universal is nobody really eats cows. Cows are sacred in India. It's not impossible to get your hands on a steak, but it's gonna be expensive and probably really bad quality. So while in India, put your carnival cravings aside and enjoy the amazing spices and food. You will definitely not go hungry in India, and there's always chicken and eggs and mutton. One thing to note though, I always thought mutton was a baby lamb, but in India, mutton is also often a baby goat. And don't worry that the food in India will be too spicy, because if they see you're a foreigner, they will tone it down for you, or just ask them. One thing to definitely try when you arrive in India is thali. It's a variety of dishes on one plate, and that gives you the opportunity to figure out what foods you like. The cuisine varies in different regions. Our favorite is North India. It's known for its dairy products, yogurt, paneer, and ghee. Paneer is a type of cheese from buffalo or cow milk made by curdling the milk with fruit or vegetable-derived acid like lemon juice. Normal cheese like Gouda, mozzarella is not common in India. Wheat-based breads like rotis and naans. I personally prefer naans. It is so delicious with curries. This is the place for butter chicken. We honestly couldn't get enough of the butter chicken. Rogan Josh, which is a lamb curry. South India is more known for rice, coconut, and a variety of chutneys and sambar. East India known for seafood, rice, and sweets. West India for coconut and vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian dishes like Goan fish curry, which is delicious. Sweet stuff, our favorite was gulab jamun, which is deep-fried dough ball soaked in syrup. To drink, chai, Indian tea with spices, milk, and sugar. It is everywhere and so delicious. Lassi, a yogurt-based drink. It's nice when eating hot food. Alcohol is allowed in most states. Most popular beer is a Kingfisher, which is a local Indian beer. But you will also find most international beers as well as other liquors like gin and wine in most places. It is also super convenient to order food on the Zomato app, which is basically like Uber Eats or Postmates. You can get almost anything on there. They have pizzas, McDonald's. The McDonald's burgers in India obviously don't have beef patties. It either has like a spicy vegetarian patty or a chicken patty. There's also a lot of different things on their McDonald's menu, which is a must try. Grocery stores. Grocery stores isn't as common as you think it might be, as most of the time grocery shopping is done in markets or at street vendors. I would be really careful buying chicken or fish from these vendors, as they don't always have the adequate cooling systems, and India is very hot. Food in India is really not expensive. A proper butter chicken curry probably costs you between $1 and $5. Watch our previous video, what you get for $100 a day in India, for more information on costs. Link here and in the description. Western food is more pricey than Indian food when you are there, so try and eat more Indian food, but sometimes you just crave a cappuccino and toast with eggs without spices. A reminder that for every 10 new subscribers to this channel, we feed or donate a meal for stray animals. There's so many animals all around the world in desperate need of a meal. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, a stray animal gets a meal, and it makes me pretty happy. Health concerns. You can get sick anywhere, even at the most luxurious destinations. It's important to be extra cautious when traveling, as the exposure to unfamiliar environments and stress can weaken your immune system. If you get bitten by an animal, get rabies shots. There's no cure for this, only death. I was bitten by a cat in Thailand, and even on remote islands, they had rabies vaccinations for me. So don't wait till you get home. Malaria. If you are visiting Central East India, make sure if the places you are visiting has high risk of malaria and take precautions for that. If you are traveling to high altitude areas, make sure that you're well adjusted for the altitude before you do some rigorous activities, and that you have spare oxygen if needed. Don't drink the tap water, it's not worth it. You can pretty much buy bottled water anywhere. Just make sure the cap is sealed. Street food. Street food is delicious and cheap, but the savings of that does not outweigh the cost of losing out on a few days of your holiday that you've already paid for. India is generally quite a hot country, so when eating fish or chicken, make sure to only eat that from restaurants with adequate cooling and sanitization systems. There isn't always bathrooms everywhere or running tap water, so make sure that it is prepared in a safe environment. For locals, it might not be an issue, but as a foreigner, your tummy might not have adjusted to that in your first few days of being in India. Make sure you always have tissues, hand sanitizer, and wet wipes with you. Usually also travel with some paracetamol, anti-inflammatories, nausea tablets, motion sickness tablets, flu and cold relief medicines, probiotics, antibacterial and burn creams, as well as plasters. Vaccinations. There's currently no specific vaccinations required to enter India, but they recommend that you get these ones before you go. We, however, didn't have most of them, and we were fine. Hepatitis A and B vaccination, typhoid vaccination, and yellow fever vaccination. In general, when traveling, make sure your routine vaccinations are up to date. I've put a link in the description what those routine vaccinations generally are. Language and communication. And no, they don't speak Indian in India. It has two official languages, Hindi and English. If you speak English, you won't really have a problem communicating in India unless you go to more rural areas. Most people can speak basic English, most signs are in English and Hindi. Hindi looks like this, so it's not going to be super easy to pick up. But more importantly, the official language of India is actually the Indian head nod. Unlike other cultures where a nod clearly means yes and a shake clearly means no, that is not how it works in India. It can really mean anything to different people in different scenarios. So after our 2 months in India, we still didn't have quite the hang of what the head nod means when. But it is so cool to see that it's not just something in the movies and that it's such a real thing in India. Make sure you have Google Translate downloaded on your phone and that you can access Hindi offline as well so that you can translate if you don't have internet. And Namaste will get you a long way as a greeting or to say thank you. SIM cards and internet. SIM cards is a bit of a more trickier subject than in other countries. If you don't get a SIM card at the airport when you land, which is often not possible, it wasn't possible for us, you have to get a SIM card outside the airport, in which case you have to give them an Indian cell phone number in order to get a SIM card. The locals are generally quite nice and somebody off the street might give you their number. We likely met somebody on the plane who gave us a number for in case we need anything in India. Your hosts might also give you their number, but it is something to definitely plan for ahead of time. The easiest option is to get an e-travel SIM. The cell phone networks in India is very good. We used Airtel and it's about $10 for 100 gigabyte. Internet in India is great for remote working. We worked remotely there for 2 months. Most places at 100 megabytes per second or more internet, we had no issues with internet. But when you arrive at the airport, make sure that you have a SIM card ready or transportation booked in advance. Transport. India has various ways of transport. Planes, trains, buses, tuk-tuks, taxis, boats, and they're all relatively inexpensive. Let's start with planes. India is huge, and if you're traveling long distances like Delhi to Mumbai, a plane might be best. Indigo is an Indian airline and we flew them a few times and can only say good things. Plane journeys in India isn't too expensive, about $45 from Delhi to Mumbai. Planes between Delhi and Ladakh, however, is more expensive. But leave plenty of time before your departure. There is quite a queue to get into the airport, security is intense, and it can take quite a while unpacking everything for security. But it's very safe. But make sure you arrive well before your flight's departure. Trains. Trains in India is great. We did a journey from Jaipur to Ranthambore and back. It is quite inexpensive, but make sure you choose the correct class. There is various classes and some have no aircon and only standing, and that will definitely spoil trains for you. These don't have aircons or crowded, so avoid them. Unreserved class, second class, and sleeper class. If it has AC at the end, it has aircon, but it can still be a bit uncomfy. I'd recommend one AC. It usually has beds and comes with linen and pillows, and it felt really clean. We paid $20 for this cabin with 3 to 4 sleepers in it for about a 4 to 5 hour drive. Beware though of the bathrooms. There's a lot of things to know about trains in India, like how to book it, how to find your train at a very crowded train station. In our previous video, you can find all this information. Watch this before you use a train in India. It will make your life so much easier, I promise. But do a train journey. Please, it is an experience in India. Buses. We did a bus journey in India, and although it's not the first mode of transport I'd recommend, it was fine and rather inexpensive. And we made really good friends. The buses don't leave on time though, they don't always stop where they say they will, and even the best ones might look a little unsafe. If you do this, don't go for anyone below the best bus. Our video, First Impressions of Jaipur, has this whole bus journey documented, as well as landing at the airport and how to get from the airport to anywhere and how to get a SIM card. Watch this before you go to India. It will help you so much. Taxis. We started using the taxis only towards the end of the trip, but wish we knew about them earlier because they are life-changing. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a bus or a train in India. Take a bus or a train just to have that experience, and from then on, you can use taxis. They are really affordable even for medium to longer distances compared to other countries. Convenient, safe, and on time. I can't recommend them enough. Book it before the time. There is various sites. We used Make My Trip. And of course, tuk-tuks. You have to do a tuk-tuk ride when in India. This is for shorter distances, and you can order one on Uber. They are relatively inexpensive and a wild experience. Accommodation. India is probably one of the countries where you can get the most value for your money when it comes to accommodation. You can use the usual places to book like bookings.com for hotel stays or Airbnb for home stays or longer stays and apartments. We booked this place in Jaipur for $20 a day. It had 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a huge living area and a kitchen, all inside the civil lines. Try and book a place in the civil lines. It is neighborhoods all across India that was developed during the British Raj for senior civilian officers. These neighborhoods are very safe. They often have gates that close entrances to the neighborhood between certain hours at night. Most of the houses have security guards outside. We felt so safe. I went running around the block on my own a few times. We went for walks. It was a lovely place to feel more like a local, but still be safe and comfortable. There's also boutique hotels all across India, like this one where we stayed in Agra, which is close to the Taj Mahal, for about $25 a night. But when in India, you have to stay in a palace. Nowhere else in the world will you be able to stay like a king or a queen in a palace at this cost. India has a lot of royal families, and because the palaces are rather expensive to uphold, and there is a democratic government now, you can actually stay in some of these palaces. And if you do it in off-season, you can get some bargains, anywhere from $50 to $100,000. But we got to stay in this place for $150 a night in off-season, all inclusive with food, where it usually is more like $1,000+ a night. You can watch that experience in our previous video, 24 hours in an Indian palace, linked here in the description. Dress code. It is actually so cool to see locals walking the street with saris and men wearing linen pants and button shirts. As a foreigner, there's really no strict dress code, but you might attract more attention. If you want to be more conservative, wear jeans or a skirt or pants that cover the knees and tops that cover your shoulders. When going to religious or cultural sites, there is no specific dress code, even at the Taj Mahal, but try and dress modestly. You might also be asked to remove your shoes at these venues. But India is actually rather relaxed when it comes to dress code for foreigners. As our host said at the Airbnb, if people want to look, they're gonna look. Cultural etiquette. Respect to elders is crucial, and addressing people as sir or madam is appreciated. When eating with your hands, eat with your right hand only. Eating with the left is seen as impolite. Indians are very generous and warm, and it is polite to accept snacks and offers. I also suggest you read up more on the caste system before you visit India. It is really fascinating and will make you understand the country a lot better. Money. India uses the Indian rupee, INR, and at the moment it's $1 for about 85 rupees. Cash is still widely used, and there were instances even at some hotels where we had to pay cash. If you're out for the day exploring, the majority of things will be cash. We probably had a 50% split between using cash and our credit or debit cards. Plenty of places also accept digital payments. However, as a foreigner, it didn't want to work for us. But give it a try, maybe it works for you. ATMs. When you find a trustworthy ATM, stock up on your cash. You often have to walk a little bit to find ATMs, and it is hot. We've often found ATMs and then they are out of service. We also had scenario twice where the ATM deducted money of our account but never gave us the cash, and then a few hours later it deducted like 1 million rupees of our bank account. Luckily we could sort it out with our bank back home, but be careful with ATMs in India. Ablution. India's toilets are often squat toilets in public areas. It is really not that bad if you need to go quick. Your accommodation usually have a Western toilet. Make sure to carry tissues with you, as there often isn't toilet paper as it is the norm to use a bucket of water provided. Personally, I wasn't always sure how clean that water is, so carry tissues, hand sanitizer, and wet wipes with you. India lies in the northern hemisphere, but most of India is generally quite hot. So the best time to visit would be during the Indian winter, which is from October to March. Then temperatures are usually between 20 and 30 degrees. June to September is known as monsoon season. However, if you can withstand the heat, visiting during the off-season in summer has its advantages, like not having to wait in queues, not being as crowded. That is, when we went to the Taj Mahal, we barely had a queue. We were able to take photos without any people in it. But that being said, we couldn't stay out very long as it got way too hot very quickly. If you're planning to visit the Himalayas in areas such as Ladakh, the best time to go is May to September, which is in summer. Temperatures will range between 12 and 22 degrees because during the winter months, a lot of places and roads are closed due to the extreme snowfall and it's not ideal to visit. Festivals. India is known for its insane festivals, and Indians are so welcoming and friendly, they would probably invite you to the festivals or to a wedding or some event. Indians, they go big. The two most well-known festivals are Diwali, which is the festival of lights in October or November, and Holi, which is the festival of colors taking place in March. There are plenty other festivals to read up on. Length of stay, as long as you can. This really depends on your budget and the time that you have available, but during a visit to India, you'll probably barely scratch the surface. Best would maybe be to do a few recurring visits to India, but a weekend is definitely not enough to visit India. I'd say about 2 to 3 weeks is a good amount of time for a specific area of the country. Souvenirs and what to buy in India. Leather products. India has incredible leather products at very reasonable prices, especially in Agra. I bought this leather jacket there. Pashmina products. Pashmina is usually a cashmere wool. You can get beautiful shawls and jerseys, especially in the north, like areas close to the Himalayas. Tailored clothing. You can get beautiful clothes custom made or buy traditional saris. We got some custom made clothing in Jaipur, where they made me the dress off a design of one of my own dresses. The scarf I bought in India. Spices like masala blends, cardamom, saffron, and turmeric. Tea. The tea from the Darjeeling region is known as the champagne of tea region. There is also the traditional mountain kawa tea, which we love. Remember, Indians love to bargain. But don't be disrespectful and offer too low a price. Everyone's got to make a living. That $1 that you get to pay less to boost your ego means a lot more to the guys selling the product. What to pack. Lightweight and breathable fabrics cause it's hot. Layering for altitudes and weather changes. Comfortable walking shoes. Rain gear if going during monsoon season. Scarves and shawls. It's useful to cover your head and shoulders at religious sites or protecting against sun or wind. Sunscreen and lots of it. Hand sanitizer and tissues. Insect repellent. An adapter or converter for your plugs. All of these things you can buy in India as well, but when you go to India, enjoy the time exploring the country, not trying to find hand sanitizer and comfortable shoes. Do that at home. Chaos. India might seem a little chaotic at first, and it might be a little bit of a culture shock initially. The smells, the noise, that it feels disorganized. If you can semi-adjust to that for a little while, you will have the absolute best time in this amazing country. I hope you found this video helpful and that you've already started planning your trip to India. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I love helping fellow travelers plan new adventures. If you have any suggestions or other viewpoints, please put them in the comments below. I love hearing from locals and people who had different experiences than me. I've linked our whole India series below, where you'll find informative videos about all the places we visited in India and the things we did, which will be very helpful for your trip. I promise. Watch it. We have an incredible diverse world, and if you can leave your preconceived notions behind of people and places, there is an incredible world awaiting for you. Remember to please subscribe to Feed Astray and to not miss out on any of our future videos to help you plan your next adventure. Thank you for watching and Namaste.